The following is a paid program that is paid for by AARP of Michigan.
Artificial intelligence. You might have heard that term, not certain what it means. Stay tuned. Jesse is here to talk with us about artificial intelligence and how it can help improve your life. Artificial intelligence. I know people who have artificial intelligence, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today we have Jesse Flores with us to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, it's an absolute delight.
You know, the name itself just kind of makes you pause, artificial intelligence. People are talking about it all over the country, but it's been around for a long time. But explain to us what it is and why we should be concerned.
Yeah, so I think you're right. It has been around for quite a while. Really, we're talking about are algorithms that are really good at learning patterns, making decisions, and coming up with or performing tasks and coming up with nuanced information or responses in kind of a conversational way that feels natural to people like you and me. What's really changed over the last couple of years hasn't been necessarily the emergence of new algorithms that make this possible. It's been the fact that costs to produce these have come way, way, way down. And as a result, accessibility has really skyrocketed. And so now, folks like me that have spent a lot of time in this industry have been aware of some of these things for a long time, but now it's able to go mainstream because the cost structure makes it so much more easy to adapt.
So I want to unpack that a little bit, but first tell us, you say you've been doing this for a very, very long time, and I know you've mentioned well over a decade, right?
I've been thinking about these things for over a decade, for sure. I think I built my own first algorithm maybe 10 years ago. It was a very early attempt at building a way to get around applicant tracking systems. When I was looking for a job, I was not particularly keen on rewriting my resume a million times, so I tried to build a very, very, very simple set of tools to take a resume as an input and rewrite it to get past an applicant tracking system many, many years ago.
And since that time, some of the people that you worked for since that initial application have been quite impressive. You've got quite the resume, so you know what you're talking about when we talk about artificial intelligence. But why should we be concerned about it today? People, you say it's more accessible.
Yes.
How was it used before, and how is it being used today?
Yeah, so I think where it really got a lot of its legs before the cost structure started to change was really actually in science and in computer science. So a lot of machine learning. In fact, I started learning about machine learning through courses I took online from the University of Washington related to bioinformatics, which is a really nerdy thing to say.
Bioinformatics.
Okay. That was how my introduction to it. Now, since then, the way that it's used today in a generative capacity has really expanded well beyond just the sciences to encompass everything from marketing copy to process automation inside of an organization. But one of the key insights or one of the key transformations that's happened is as this technology has grown, almost any and all types of data can be reflected in what is technically called a vector. And what that means is that any kind of technology, whether you're talking about image, voice, audio, video, text, all has kind of a common factor that allows for AI and LLMs to use this data for anything.
Wow.
Very, very powerful,
wow.
But also can be very, very concerning.
Absolutely. And I think that's some of the concern, particularly as older adults. AARP does a lot, and you've done some work with us as well, with our team, on talking about fraud. I know you're going to be doing some more of that work. But what should we be looking out for? Particularly older adults, we want to keep them current with the technology, but at the same time, protect what they have, and avoid themselves from becoming victims of fraud.
Yeah, that's actually a really huge concern. And it's one that I think there's still a lot of work to be done and a lot of work being done in this space. So because there is now this common factor for technology and for phishing, for spoofing, it used to be we would make the joke about the Nigerian prince emailing you asking for money, right? But now those emails are going to be coming from people and email addresses that look like people referencing people that might be on your network. In fact, I'm on a local board here, and I got an email from someone ostensibly posing as the president of that board and referencing some elements about that board in this email. And they weren't asking for a lot of money. It wasn't, I need $20,000 to get my princely thing. It was, $300 for petty cash. And if you're running through things very quickly and you're not paying attention, I almost was like, click it and send it, whatever. It would have been faster for me at that level to just wire or Venmo the money. But something in me was like, wait a minute, this sounds a little bit odd. That spoofing has gotten a lot more sophisticated. On top of that, the spoofing comes not only through text emails, but there are ways to voice clone. And so it is not uncommon now to get phone calls from hackers, spammers, spoofers, phishers who might be cloning the voice of, say, a loved one or a family member and coming up with kind of a hair-raising scheme that's like, hey, I was just in this accident. I'm at the police station. I need help with this, this, and this. And of course, you get on high alert and you don't double check or fact check that this is in fact that loved one.
That's crazy. I mean, to think that you pick the phone up and it sounds like your daughter, your granddaughter, your aunt, your uncle, and you made an excellent point, Jesse, that it's not always asking for the $20,000, which would raise eyebrows for anyone, but now they're asking for smaller amounts for more people.
Yes.
And it's easier just to say, well, sure, honey, I'll send you. You're in college or whatever, I'll send you. And it's not that. What should they do? What should people do? If it sounds like your child or someone you know.
Yeah. So there are a couple of things that I think are best practices. So number one, this is something we've incorporated in our family, and I think everyone should incorporate in their family, is there should be a code word. So if somebody calls asking for something or in an emotionally charged state and they're trying to get you to do something, asking for that authentication, okay, what's our code word? That alone can help a lot. Another thing that is, I think, a really good practice, can feel a little bit rude, is like, okay, let me hang up and call right back. Right? So just doing that alone. Like, these are very small, simple things that can protect you, particularly when it comes to voice spoofing. When it comes to things like email and text, there are a lot of best practices already documented around that. But some simple ones, like verifying not the name of the person sending, but the email address that's being that person is sending from, is a small thing, but we don't pay a lot of attention to those kinds of things. And you should be particularly on guard about these things if you have a son or daughter or grandson or granddaughter who is constantly posting on social media, or who is an influencer or a content creator, because anything that gets published or publicized online can be used for training or spoofing that data. And so another thing, I personally am not super active online any more than I have to be. But it is one of those things, if you or somebody in your family member is very active online or on media that could be online, making sure you've got that extra guardrail is really important.
That's excellent advice. One of the things that we always say too is that if there's a sense of urgency, you need to pause, right? Because usually they're trying to get you to act immediately. And so if they want you to act immediately and not tomorrow or later or an hour from now, then that should raise your concern a bit.
The challenge is that a lot of times as they get more sophisticated, they're using more emotionally charged hooks. And these are things that sort of naturally put you on edge. So I can recall an instance I heard of where somebody called, and this was a neighbor of one of my parents. They called spoofing the daughter of the neighbor. And they had been in a car accident. They were at the police station. They were, they needed some bail money. They had a whole thing. But if you are the mom receiving that call, daughter, car accident, pregnant lady, bail money, like there's so many things in that as a parent, you just viscerally feel like you need to respond to. Taking that second can feel, it can feel irresponsible. It can feel like it takes a lot more discipline than maybe you have, but that is such an important point. These people, these bad actors, prey on that emotional hack.
I love what you said about the code word. I think we don't have a code word for that. When the kids were little, we had a code word. If someone wants to give you a ride or whatever, or mom or dad gets. But a code word will help eliminate a lot of that.
It does help a lot.
And you also mentioned social media, which I know I've heard you chat about that before. People always think that they're going to get spoofed in terms of their bank account or something in an email, but they're putting material out there that makes them more susceptible to being spoofed or being scammed.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because on the one hand, we as humans are naturally inclined to want to share and connect, and these tools.
Not me, but anyway. Yeah.
nor I, but I'm told
yeah, right.
that this is the case, and so naturally we want to be able to take advantage of the benefits that these networks offer,
right.
and they do offer some real benefits. But I think it's important to also stop and think about some of the risks. And this is something I thought about a lot. I'm of the generation that just started to put pictures of your kids online all the time. And I remember thinking back when my friends were starting to do this, and that I remember thinking, like, man, in 12 or 13 years, if I'm posting these pictures, my daughter, who's going to be in middle school, is probably going to feel a certain way about the fact that that these things are out there. And I might think that this bath picture is super cute, and so will my friends when they heart it or like it. But like 14-year-old her might be real mortified that that's out there, right? And so I've always tried to kind of take a little bit more of a conscientious approach to what we post and why. And I think that we all have to do that.
Yeah. Name 3 things that people should never ever post on social media?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can name 3 things that I think nobody should ever post,
Birthday?
Certainly never anything sensitive, right? I think that's a really, really important one. That's probably actually the most important thing I can think of in terms of never to post. The online communities are great for self-expression. But you never want to put any personal information out there.
Like your birth date, you wouldn't want to put.
I would not put. I personally don't put my birth date year on there. I think my birth date might be on there. I don't know. I'm very particular about my own personal information. I personally would be really reluctant to put things like a phone number or email address. I don't even know if I have my current city accurate on LinkedIn, to be honest with you. I'm very, very reluctant to put any kind of personal information that would allow anyone to find me.
And I always get concerned when people talk about they're going on vacation, and they put that on social media, because you're letting the whole world know that you're not going to be home. Right?
Yeah, a little Home Alone action there. You're going to have the wet bandits showing up.
It's okay when you come back if you want to, show the pictures then, but don't announce that you're not going to be home. So and you talk about email, that's another one too, and accounts and banking online. And you mentioned the word Venmo, and I know there are a lot of Cash App. Is there one that's safe Cash App software applications out there? Is there any that you prefer? I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have one that I prefer.
Or that's safer.
I think the way that I would think about it is whenever you are interacting with somebody through one of these apps, first of all, you want to make sure that you actually know who they are and that you've got a way to verify. And most of these apps now have a good way of doing that. For instance, if you tried to Venmo me, it would ask you for like the last 4 digits of my phone number or something to make sure that we're going to have a legitimate transaction. Where you can see some of these things become a little bit kind of tricky. So, for example, actually, this happened the other day. There was a lawsuit that we were part of a class action, and so we got some money back through PayPal as part of a class action. And so we get the text from the settlement people, and we knew this was coming, saying, your money is available. Click this link and go claim it. And it was from PayPal, and it was a PayPal link, but they were using a PayPal link shortener. Now, because we tend to be in this space, one of the first things that I did when I saw that is I said, okay, wait, before you click this link, let's go and run a domain check on this to make sure it's actually owned by PayPal and we're not going to be taken off to a cloned website. So like those little things which, again, you might be real excited, like, oh my gosh, we're just going to get whatever we're going to get from this settlement. Let's go click the button and claim our money. even though we knew to expect it,
Wow.
it was still one of those things where we're like, well, is this coming from the same two-factor authentication number we always get from PayPal? Is this coming from a domain that we can look at and be like, is this actually owned by PayPal? And so once we kind of checked those things, we said, all right, now let's go ahead and go make that claim. But I think that those are not things that a lot of people pay attention to. Is it the number? Is it a number that they already use for authentication? Is it a URL that we can tell is owned by the company? And when we click on it, is it taking us to a secure link for that organization?
Is it true that if it's HTTP, if there's an S after the P, it's a secure site?
Generally speaking.
Generally
speaking, yes.
Now, and we've talked a lot about the negative parts of AI, but there are so many good things that are going on in terms of medicine, healthcare, home systems. Talk about some of the positive things. We don't want people to think it's a new evil, that's
No, in fact, I'm very much, if anything, I spend more time thinking about the positive stuff, because I think there's a lot of opportunity here. And across so many different domains and dimensions. For example, one of the things that I think about a lot, we just did some work for the Greater Lansing Care Foundation. And so they've worked with us to collate tons and tons of resources for caregivers of people with dementia. And this is an emotionally fraught experience for many people. And there's a lot of intricacies, everything from estate planning and the legalities, and there's all sorts of stuff. And so one of the things that we did is we built a site for them that is all powered by generative AI. So caregivers that have questions and are looking for plans and looking for help, they can not only come and ask their questions of the site and get cited answers, cited answers that, saying, okay, this is how you should approach this, or here's the plan. They can also get recommendations and referrals to local businesses or local practitioners that can help them understand where and how to go get personal help in the community, right? And that's super, super powerful. For as a caregiver, somebody who's I now have this new challenge of dealing with a parent that's going through these things. I don't know anything about any of the language that the doctors are telling me or the attorneys.
Right.
I can go to this site and I can get clarity, and I can then get referred to other people that can help me. That's super, super, super powerful. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely. In terms of the medical field as well, I heard someone from BAMF, a medical facility in Grand Rapids, saying that they're actually using AI or robots for the first diagnosis, and then they get that diagnosis and they give it to another AI or robot to proof or to secure the first. I mean, it's medicine in healthcare, and like you were saying, just resources, because who has the resource, particularly adults, to go on Google and look at all the things that come up. So being able to have something like Lansing Care Foundation have a site there. And you have robots talking to people now. You don't have to do all that search and find anymore. It's so many wonderful things that are going on.
It's incredible. Two of the other ways where I think that there's some real power for, so what you describe in the medical field is huge. And I think there's so much work going into the medical field. On the, for the rest of us that aren't in medicine, so one, there are so many more technologies, assistive technologies now between your watches and your phones. And as most of these technologies start to get connected to AI networks, you'll be able to know if mom falls, you'll be able to know right away, like, okay, hey, the technology said that mom fell. And by the way, now we've got the AI on the back end saying, do this, go call this person, call this person, call this person. And then boom, that's super, super helpful. Like those kinds of technologies are really coming online, and they're amazing. The other thing that one of our friends in Grand Rapids is launching, EverFriends AI, is this great technology where if you have a parent that is struggling with dementia or some of these things, and it can be really taxing as a caregiver, they've got these AI avatars that you can go and talk to, or that your parents can go and talk to back and forth, and it looks and feels like a real conversation, and can take some of that pressure off the caregiver to interact with for your loved one to interact with this friend that looks and feels real to them. and is compassionate and has infinite patience for all of the things that mom or dad might be going through. There's just so many of these things kind of coming online.
We're going to have to do a whole show on just assistive technology, because that's phenomenal. People are struggling with things at home, even in terms of prescriptions, robots that will dispense your loved one's prescription at a certain time every day, and those kinds of things. It's just so much out there. So we've got about 30 seconds left. Tell us the one thing you're most excited about in terms of the future of AI and what it can do.
Yeah, the thing I'm most excited about is what are called AI agents. And this is the ability for AI to really become that personal assistant that's helping you with all of your day-to-day tasks.
Oh, I can hardly wait.
It's coming online. It's coming very quickly. We and others are helping to build and bring them online. And I think it's going to transform not only the world, but it's going to make us all, ironically, more human in many ways.
Will we be able to afford it?
Absolutely.
It's going to be affordable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what's led to all this. Cost structures are coming way down, making accessibility.
Put me on the list for the first robot. I want it. We'll bring it right here and demonstrate how it works, all right?
You and me both. I love it.
We appreciate you and what you're doing, and just the years that you spent doing this. It's going to change the lives in a positive way for so many people. Thanks for being with us, Jesse.
Thank you so much.
No one is immune from being scammed. You just have to know what to do and know what to look out for. So Brenda, today let's talk about scams and what people can do and what's the scams that are out there. So what should they know?
Well, people should be aware of the scams that are happening in their community and around the globe, because fraud is a global 24/7 operation. It can come to you in your email, on your laptop, someone saying to you that your computer needs fixing. Click here. Never click there. Just disconnect, trash it. If a person is not fluid enough to be able to understand that, and you are a caregiver for that person, then caregivers can help their family members better understand what's going on in the world. But caregivers can be on top of fraud and scam by visiting our Fraud Watch Network online at AARP.org. There's plenty of information out there to help you be more watchful about scams and frauds.
And don't people have to be careful, though, even with caregivers? And that's an excellent point about giving out their passwords and how they give their passwords to.
People do need to be careful about who they give their passwords to. There needs to be a trust there. But the older you get, you need to probably share your passwords with someone else in your family.
Do you know how hard that is for some people?
It is very hard. But the day will come when you have selective memory that day.
Yes, yes. And so you want to make sure you have someone who's trusted, or at least where they know where to go to get the password or to access that password.
Yes.
And that is so important. We hear stories all the time about people who can't access someone's accounts because they don't have access to the person.
We hear that a lot from caregivers.
Yeah, but you've got to, and it doesn't have to be a family member.
Yes.
So you've got to trust that individual.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Brenda,
Thank
for all
you.
you do to help protect Michiganders from fraud.
Thank you very much.
If you live in Southeast Michigan, you may have heard about the Smart Flex program. Daniel, thank you so much for being here to explain that program and how people can use it.
Thank you. So Smart Flex is Smart's microtransit service. It launched in early 2022. We launched with 3 zones, and we now have 5 zones encompassing our service area. So we have a zone in Dearborn, one in Pontiac and Auburn Hills, one in Farmington Hills, one in Troy, and one along Hall Road, which is a big corridor. That service has reached 1 million riders as of December of last year.
Wow, congratulations.
So we've seen, thank you, we've seen a lot of growth, a lot of expansion with that since we launched it just not even 4 years ago. The service has been so popular that we wanted to take a look at where could that service be expanded across our service area. So we did a big study recently over the last couple of years of where does transit need to grow in our area. So we'll be working to grow those zones, add 5 more zones, and just continue to provide that service in our area.
Wow. And exactly what does a service provide?
So it is an Uber Lyft type service where it's riders will request a ride through the Smart Flex app or through a call center, and the vehicle will arrive roughly 15 to 20 minutes after the trip is requested and transport them either within the zone or to a fixed route network for them to leave the zone.
That's a service that people need to take advantage of, because they hesitate so much in getting up their keys.
Yes.
But if even me, if I'd give my keys up in a minute if I had that kind of service and was qualified for it. What a great program. Thank you so much. And thank you for looking out for our older adults and for those who need a little extra help. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you very much.
I'm Tracy Anderson with Impart Alliance. Today I'm joined by Bethany Dizer, Assistant Director, and Bethany also oversees our free training program. Bethany, can you share a little bit about the flexibility within the training?
Our training program has something for everyone. Some of our students are brand new to healthcare, brand new to direct care work, brand new to long-term supports and services, and they start out with us to explore what the job is and to consider if it's a career that they want. Some of our students are experienced employed direct care workers who are looking to build their skill set and their knowledge base and really beef up their resume with new skills. We also have a lot of students who come to us as family or kinship caregivers who have enjoyed that experience and want to make direct care work their professional career. And our training covers not just the topics you need, but how to do this work as a career. And there's something for everybody from all of those pathways. I like to say there's no wrong door to direct care work. And so we have training that can suit all of those student needs.
And what sort of topics are covered in the trainings?
We cover all the essential competencies that every direct care worker needs to know. We start with fundamental knowledge for direct care work and working with older adults and people with disabilities, all about safety, preventing infection, communicating with people. And then we build in those direct care worker roles and the people that direct care workers work with. Who are they and what do some of these conditions mean, like dementia? And then we add on all the skills, and direct care workers do a ton of different skills. They do personal care, hygiene care, but they also do home care and assisting with healthcare needs.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Of course.
We hear a lot about implants, dental implants, but you don't hear how they can really change your life and what's involved. Dr. Winter, you were one of the originators, creators, inventors. You've been doing this work for 33 years. Tell us about implants and how they change your life and what's involved.
Well, thank you for having me, first of all.
Thank you for being here.
I appreciate being able to discuss implants, which has been my life for nearly 40 years.
Wow.
Okay. So I've been lucky enough to develop and see the progress of implantology and its effect on patients over some time now. So what our initial emphasis was how do we help somebody who does not have teeth function better, feel better, and look better. So if you're a denture wearer, that was a crippling problem, for people, at that time. And how do we fix that? So we came up with these devices, small peg-like devices, which are the implants, to help hold a denture in place. That was revolutionary in the terms of the person's life. And we really were quite happy about that effect on the patient and how dramatic that was on their lifestyle, how they interacted with other people, because people became socially repressed and removed when they lost their teeth. And so they didn't want to go out to dinner. They didn't want to interact with people. And this held them back, and I think this was a breakthrough for them.
Wow. So you actually had implants that would hold the dentures in place?
Yes. So our first project was how do we hold a denture in place, and that was through implants, and that was actually the invention of the whole field.
Well, thank you for the work that you've done. It's a science, it's a changing of life, it's a quality of life. Thank you so much, Dr. Winter. A lot of good information that was shared today. Make certain that you take notes, that you share it with your friends and your family. And thanks for watching Real Possibilities.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.